Chapter 4, The Hunt for Balance. Part 1. The galaxy had forgotten what order felt like. For centuries it had been told that order came from law, from empires, from republics forged in committees and guarded by fleets of obedient machines. Yet those institutions, once so vast they seemed eternal, were now brittle relics drifting through history like shattered moons. The republic had dissolved into factions. The empire had become a skeleton wearing armor. Between them stretched the outer rim, and there, in the void where authority had once stood, something older had awakened. The hunt. Across hundreds of worlds warriors spoke of it, not as rebellion, nor as conquest, but as a principle. A law older than governments. Older even than the Force. The hunt was balance. Life pursued death. Order pursued chaos. Strength pursued weakness. And in that pursuit, the galaxy found equilibrium. At the center of this new philosophy stood a being who had never intended to lead it. Yunya. The chamber aboard the Emperor's flagship was silent. Its architecture still bore the brutal geometry of imperial design, black pillars, obsidian floors polished to mirror brightness, the vaulted ceiling disappearing into shadow. Yet the power that once filled this hall had thinned like dying fire. The Empire's fleets were scattered. Entire sectors had abandoned tribute. Even the stormtroopers stationed along the chamber walls seemed less like soldiers and more like ceremonial ghosts. Only the Emperor remained unchanged. He sat upon his throne like a fossilized god. Age had not weakened him so much as distilled him. His body appeared frail, skeletal beneath the robes of black silk, yet the force around him vibrated with lethal clarity. It was not power that had faded. It was purpose. Across the chamber stood Yunya. The Predator's towering frame was motionless, his armor reflecting faint lines of blue light from the chamber floor. The Mandalorian forged plates fused seamlessly with Yortia design, curved bone structures interlocked with Beskar segments hammered in ancient Mandalorian furnaces. Where once his weapons had been purely alien, they were now hybrid instruments. Hunter's tools. The light spear rested against his shoulder. It hummed quietly. A suspended beam of plasma floated within its magnetic shaft like imprisoned lightning. The Emperor studied him with predatory interest. Remarkable, the old man murmured. His voice was thin yet penetrating. You are not force-sensitive in the traditional sense. Yunya remained still. You resist it, the Emperor continued, tilting his head slightly. You do not bend to it. Nor does it bend you. Silence answered him. The Emperor's lips curled faintly. A balance, he said. Behind the Predator's mask, Yunja's mandibles shifted slightly. He understood little of the Emperor's language without the translator embedded in his gauntlet. Yet tone, posture, breath, these things hunters understood instinctively. This creature was dangerous. Ancient. But tired. The Emperor leaned forward. What you represent, he said softly, is the next evolution of power. A faint tremor rippled through the chamber. Not physical. Mental. The Emperor's voice continued speaking aloud. But another voice emerged simultaneously. Inside Yunja's mind. You feel it, do you not? The whisper was smooth as oil. The decay of the galaxy. Images flooded Yunja's perception, burning star systems, broken fleets drifting in orbit, senators executed by warlords. The Emperor's mental voice deepened. Civilization collapses because it denies its nature. Predation. Hierarchy. Dominance. You understand this truth. Yunya did not answer. Predators did not respond to whispers. They listened. They observed. They hunted. The Emperor's physical voice spoke again. I offer you a throne. Stormtroopers shifted uneasily. Even they sensed the gravity of the moment. You would become my apprentice, the Emperor said calmly. Sith Lord. The words echoed across the chamber. A title that had once shaken the galaxy. Yunya remained motionless. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You would inherit the Empire. The whisper returned inside Yunja's thoughts. And reshape it according to your creed. The hunt. Yunya tilted his head slightly. A low clicking sound emerged from his mandibles. The translator on his gauntlet activated. Empire, it rendered in mechanical basic. The Predator lifted his spear slowly. Plasma light reflected across the Emperor's throne. Hunt needs no empire. The Emperor smiled. True. He leaned back, steepling his fingers. But even hunters require prey. The air shifted. A second presence entered the chamber. Not physically. Mentally. Cold. Heavy. Like the pressure of a deep ocean. You insult him. The voice was mechanical and yet filled with rage. Father. The Emperor's smile widened slightly. Ah. So he had arrived. The doors behind Yunya opened. Heavy footsteps echoed across the chamber floor. Darth Vader emerged from the shadows. The black armor absorbed the chamber's light. His cape dragged across the floor like a spreading shadow. The respirator hissed rhythmically. Life sustained by machinery. Power sustained by anger. He stopped several meters from Yunya. For a moment neither warrior moved. Two predators measuring one another. Vader's helmet tilted slightly. The force surged outward from him like a storm. He probed Yunja's mind. And found nothing. No fear. No ambition. No corruption. Only stillness. Like staring into the eye of a hunter who had already decided the outcome. Vader's voice broke the silence. You summoned me. The Emperor gestured lazily. Yes. His gaze drifted between the two figures. The galaxy evolves. Vader's helmet turned toward Yunya. I am aware. The Emperor leaned forward again. This creature represents a philosophy. Vader's tone hardened. I represent power. The Emperor chuckled softly. Yes. Then his eyes gleamed. And power must prove itself. The chamber grew colder. Stormtroopers instinctively stepped backward. The Emperor raised one skeletal hand. Kill him. Silence exploded. The words echoed like thunder. Vader did not move immediately. Neither did Yunya. Because both understood the deeper meaning. This was not an execution. It was a hunt. Far away, beneath the burning sky of Mandalore, thousands of warriors gathered. The arena of the hunt had once been an ancient Mandalorian coliseum, its stone walls scarred by centuries of combat. Now it had been rebuilt using scavenged Imperial steel and Yortia engineering. Towering pylons surrounded the battlefield. Energy barriers shimmered between them. Spectator platforms rose along the circular perimeter. Mandalorians filled them. Their armor reflected the red sunset like molten iron. Beside them stood Imperial officers and stormtroopers, uneasy allies witnessing the birth of something they barely understood. At the arena's center stood the gate. A portal designed by Yortia technology. When activated, it would transport the combatants directly into the arena. Bo-Katan Kryze stood at the edge of the platform overlooking the battlefield. Her armor bore new markings. Symbols of the hunt. Beside her stood a Mandalorian armorer holding Yunja's reforged weapon schematics. The spear is ready, the armorer said quietly. Bo-Katan nodded. And Vader. A distant rumble echoed in the sky. Imperial shuttles approached. He is coming. Bo-Katan looked toward the horizon. Her voice hardened. The Empire dies today. Aboard the Emperor's flagship, Yunya and Vader stood face to face. The Emperor watched like a patient god. You will fight, he said calmly. Vader ignited his lightsaber. The red blade filled the chamber with hellish light. And if he dies? Vader asked. The Emperor's smile widened. Then you prove the galaxy still belongs to you. His eyes shifted toward Yunya. And if you die? The Predator activated his light spear. The suspended beam extended forward like a lance of starfire. The translator clicked once. Then, hunt ends. The Emperor laughed softly. No. His eyes burned. The hunt never ends. Moments later, the gate activated. Energy surged upward like a pillar of lightning. The chamber vanished. Space folded. Reality twisted. And two predators entered the arena. The sky above Mandalore burned crimson. Dust storms rolled across the distant plains. Thousands of Mandalorians watched from the arena platforms as the gate opened in the center of the battlefield. First came Vader. His black armor reflected the crimson sky like obsidian. Then Yunya stepped through. A murmur rippled across the spectators. Even seasoned warriors felt the gravity of the moment. This was not merely combat. It was judgment. Bo-Katan rose slowly from her seat. Her voice echoed across the arena through amplifiers. Warriors of Mandalore. The crowd quieted instantly. Tonight we witness the death of the old galaxy. She pointed toward the battlefield. Only one hunter leaves this arena. Her gaze shifted to Yunya. And if it is you? Her voice hardened. You bring us Vader's head. The Mandalorians roared in approval. Vader stood unmoving. But inside his helmet, anger simmered. He ignited his saber again. The blade hissed through the dusty air. Yunya rotated the spear once. Testing its balance. Perfect. Inside his mind, the Emperor's whisper returned. Kill him. Become what you were meant to be. But another memory surfaced. A jungle world. Hot rain falling through enormous trees. The Yortia homeworld. His first hunt. His father placing a skull in his hands. Honor is not victory. Honor is balance. The memory faded. The present returned. Vader stepped forward. The duel began. Their first clash shook the arena. Vader's saber struck the spear's plasma field. Energy erupted outward like lightning. The Mandalorians leaned forward collectively. Vader attacked again. And again. His style was brutal, overwhelming power backed by the Force itself. Each strike could cleave durasteel. Yunya retreated smoothly. Not fleeing. Studying. Learning. The Emperor's voice whispered through the Force. He is stronger than you. Kill him quickly. But Yunya ignored the voice. Because the hunt required patience. Vader lunged. The spear pivoted. The plasma beam slid along the saber blade and redirected the strike. For the first time Vader paused. Interesting. The Predator clicked softly. Acknowledgement. The hunt had begun in earnest. Above the arena, thunder rolled across the crimson sky. And somewhere in the darkness of the Emperor's mind, anticipation grew. Because tonight would determine the fate of the galaxy. Part 2. Dot. Dot. The arena wind carried the taste of iron. Dust rose in spiraling columns across the battlefield as the two figures circled each other. Thousands of armored Mandalorians watched in absolute silence now, their earlier cheers swallowed by the gravity of the moment. Darth Vader moved first again. The Sith Lord advanced with the steady inevitability of a closing gate. His breathing echoed across the arena like the mechanical pulse of a dying empire. Yunya did not retreat. The Predator adjusted his stance slightly, lowering the spear's point toward Vader's chest. The plasma beam shimmered in the crimson air. To the Mandalorians watching, the weapon appeared less like a spear and more like a fragment of contained sunlight held in a magnetic cage. A hunter's instrument. Vader lunged. The red lightsaber cleaved downward with the strength of a collapsing star. Yunya intercepted. The spear rotated in a smooth arc, the magnetic plasma beam sliding against the saber blade in a violent cascade of sparks. The impact detonated with a sound like thunder. The shockwave rippled across the arena floor. Dust scattered. Several Mandalorians leaned forward unconsciously. Bo-Katan's gauntleted fingers tightened against the railing. Neither combatant stepped back. For a moment they stood locked together, two weapons grinding against one another, the red blade pushing against the suspended plasma beam. Then Vader lifted his free hand. The force erupted outward. Invisible pressure slammed into Yunya like a meteor. The Predator's massive body lifted from the ground and crashed against the arena wall with bone-rattling force. Stone fractured. The crowd erupted in startled murmurs. Vader advanced slowly. His mechanical breathing never changed. "You resist the Force," he said coldly. "But resistance is not immunity." Yunya rose. Slowly. Dust fell from his armor in small avalanches. Behind his mask, his vision recalibrated. Damage assessment scrolled across his helmet display. Armor integrity, acceptable. Bone fractures, none. Combat viability, unchanged. He clicked softly. Approval. Vader ignited the saber in a horizontal sweep. The red blade carved through the air toward Yunja's torso. The Predator pivoted. The spear's haft snapped downward, deflecting the strike. Yunya countered instantly. The plasma beam thrust forward with predatory precision. Vader twisted aside, but the beam clipped his shoulder armor. Metal melted. The scent of scorched circuitry filled the air. The Mandalorians roared. Vader staggered half a step. Only half. Then the force exploded again. Yunya felt the invisible grip seize his limbs. His body froze in mid-motion. The spear hung suspended inches from Vader's chest. Vader stepped forward. His helmet lowered until the black visor faced Yunja's mask. "You are powerful," Vader said quietly. "But power without mastery is instinct." The saber rose. And instinct dies. The blade descended. And stopped. Not by Yunja's movement. By his will. Something inside the Predator refused the Force's grip. The invisible pressure faltered. For the first time in decades, Darth Vader felt resistance he could not immediately crush. Yunja's mandibles shifted behind the mask. A deep clicking sound emerged. The translator activated. Force. The mechanical voice paused as if searching for language. Another weapon. Vader's saber swung again. Yunya broke free. The spear whirled in a defensive spiral. Energy sparks scattered like meteor fragments. They separated. Both warriors studied the other now with deeper intensity. Because something had changed. Vader realized the truth first. This creature was not resisting the Force through strength. He was ignoring it. Treating it the same way he treated gravity. A condition of existence. Not a path to power. Inside Yunja's mind, the Emperor's whisper returned. "He fears you." The old voice slid through his thoughts like poison. "Strike now. Claim your destiny." But Yunja's mind did not follow whispers. His thoughts drifted somewhere older. Somewhere distant. The jungle world of his birth. Rain falling through towering green canopies. Young hunters testing their blades against beasts whose skulls were the size of starfighters. His father's voice again. "The hunt is not domination. It is balance." The memory dissolved. Yunya returned to the arena. Vader attacked again. This time the Sith Lord abandoned measured strikes. He became a storm. The red blade moved with terrifying speed, fueled by rage and the raw current of the Force. Each strike came faster. Harder. Deadlier. Yunya adapted. The spear moved like a living thing. Each deflection was economical. Precise. A predator conserving energy while its prey exhausted itself. Minutes passed. The arena trembled with the constant clash of red light and plasma fire. The Emperor watched through the Force from his distant throne. His smile grew sharper. Yes. This was the crucible. The galaxy required evolution. And evolution demanded violence. Vader's anger finally surged past discipline. The Force erupted outward in a shockwave that blasted Junior across the arena again. The Predator rolled across the dust before sliding to a stop. Vader raised both hands. The Force tightened around Junior's throat. The invisible choke lifted him from the ground. The Mandalorian stirred uneasily. Bo-Katan's eyes narrowed. The Emperor's whisper flooded Junior's mind. Submit. Accept the dark side. It will give you the strength to break him. The pressure around Junior's throat increased. Metal groaned. Internal systems flashed warnings. And still, Junior remained calm. Because Predators did not panic. They adapted. His wrist gauntlet activated. A sharp mechanical click echoed. The net gun fired. A mesh of electrified filaments exploded outward and wrapped around Vader's torso. The Sith Lord staggered as the net discharged thousands of volts. The Force choke collapsed. Junior dropped to the ground. The crowd roared. Vader tore the net apart instantly with the Force. But the moment had passed. Junior moved. The Predator sprinted forward with terrifying speed. The spear drove toward Vader's chest. Vader blocked. The impact shook both warriors. Junior twisted the weapon. The magnetic plasma beam detached momentarily from the spear shaft. For a heartbeat it became a projectile. A beam of suspended fire launched forward like a harpoon. Vader's eyes widened behind the helmet. He barely deflected it with his saber. The beam scorched across his armor and embedded itself in the arena wall. The weapon snapped back to the spear's magnetic core. The Mandalorians erupted again. Bo-Katan exhaled slowly. Yes. Vader straightened. For the first time, the Sith Lord truly acknowledged the hunt. Impressive. His voice lowered. But you misunderstand something. The Force surged again. Rocks lifted from the arena floor. Metal fragments from previous battles rose into the air. A storm of debris swirled around Vader like orbiting moons. This. His hands clenched. Is power. The debris launched toward Junior. Thousands of projectiles screamed across the battlefield. Junior ran directly into the storm. His cloak shimmered. Cloaking field activated. The projectiles struck empty air. Vader's head turned sharply. Predator vision modes shifted behind Junior's mask. Thermal. Electromagnetic. Force fluctuations. There. The Sith Lord's energy signature burned like a star. Junior decloaked mid-leap. The spear plunged downward. Vader barely raised his saber in time. The impact cracked the arena floor beneath them. Their weapons locked again. This time Junior leaned closer. His mask inches from Vader's helmet. The translator spoke softly. Hunt ends. Vader's response was a whisper of hatred. It never ends. Then Junior did something unexpected. He released the spear. Vader reacted instantly, his saber sweeping toward Junior's exposed torso. But the Predator's wrist blades extended in the same instant. Twin monomolecular claws erupted from his gauntlet. The blades slammed into Vader's chest armor. Beskar-reinforced plates screeched as the claws pierced the damaged section burned earlier by the spear. Vader roared. The sound echoed across the arena like a dying star. The Force erupted violently. Both warriors were blasted apart. Junior landed heavily but rolled to his feet. Vader collapsed to one knee. Smoke poured from the damaged chest plate. His respirator wheezed irregularly. Silence spread across the arena. Because everyone understood the moment. The hunt had reached its end. Vader struggled to rise. His saber still burned red. But his strength faltered. Junior walked forward slowly. Not as an executioner. As a hunter concluding a ritual. The Emperor's voice returned again. Finish him. Claim your throne. Junior lifted the spear. Vader looked up. The black helmet tilted slightly. Do it. The words came through damaged machinery. You cannot escape what comes next. Junior studied him. Behind the mask, ancient instinct swayed the moment. This warrior had fought with honor. With ferocity. With discipline. He was worthy prey. The spear thrust forward. The plasma beam pierced Vader's chest. Silence swallowed the arena. The red lightsaber fell from lifeless fingers. Darkness consumed the blade. Darth Vader collapsed. Dead. For several seconds, no one moved. Then the Mandalorians erupted. The roar shook the arena like an earthquake. Bo-Katan stood. Her voice thundered across the battlefield. Claim your trophy. Junior knelt beside the fallen Sith Lord. His wrist blades extended again. With ritual precision, he removed Vader's helmet. Then, with one final motion, the skull. The Mandalorians fell silent. Junior rose slowly. Vader's skull held in one hand. The spear in the other. Blood and plasma light reflected across his armor. Bo-Katan stepped onto the arena floor. Behind her, thousands of Mandalorians followed. One by one. They knelt. Not to an emperor. Not to a Sith. But to a master of the hunt. High above the arena, lightning split the crimson sky. Across the galaxy, rumors would spread like wildfire. The Empire had lost its greatest weapon. And in its place something new had risen. Neither Sith. Nor Jedi. Something older. Something balanced. Yunya lifted the skull toward the darkening heavens. The Emperor felt it through the Force. And smiled. Because the galaxy had finally entered its next age. An age not of empire. Not of republic. But of the hunt. Chaos and order chasing one another across the stars. And at their center stood Yunya. Dark Lord of Balance. The first of a new creed. The great hunt had begun. And it would never end.